6:14, a news alert this morning. An executive for ExxonMobil gunned down right in front of his wife as he's walking out of a restaurant in Brussels. His name is Nicholas Mockford. He's a British national, very high up in that company. He was shot as he was leaving an Italian restaurant. Here's what we found interesting this morning. This happened back on October 14th, but Belgian authorities imposed a news blackout there, and that's why we're just now hearing of it. This morning, there's a spokesperson for ExxonMobil responding to this, saying they're shocked, they find this very tragic. No one has any idea what the motive is right now.
Hurricane Sandy is heading toward the East Coast after killing 21 people in the Caribbean. Forecasters now say Sandy could be the perfect storm if it combines with the storm that's hitting us right now here in Colorado. Now, you may have seen that movie that was made about this last time this happened. It's called The Perfect Storm. 21 years ago, a nor'easter and Hurricane Grace combined into one massive storm. So this really could end up being a big deal. I've been seeing all kinds of tweets about Sandy this morning. At last check, sounds like 80-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah, they're calling it the Frankenstorm.
Yeah,
because it's so close to Halloween.
And I've seen reports, from some NOAA guys, from some of these big meteorologists that are saying we don't have anything really in our modern history that we can really compare it to. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But definitely a scary situation there. We'll have more over the weekend. If you're traveling to the East Coast early next week, you're going to want to definitely watch out for those reports. Here at home, travel this morning really isn't that bad. Eastern Plains looking at quite a bit of snow right now near Lyman, Greeley, heading towards Sterling and Burlington. But that was the wave that moved through Denver overnight, and now we're seeing really some clearing skies over the I-25 corridor. Overnight, we picked up about a half an inch to an inch in the metro area, so we were on the lower end of some of those totals, and now this morning you're waking up to cloud cover. Might still see a few light flurries. The bigger story will be some of the cold air that we see today. 7 o'clock this morning, again, a few light flurries possible. By noon, we really get clearing here in Denver as everything moves off to the east, and then through the afternoon, more sunshine. Not very warm, though. This morning, we're waking up to a frosty picture in Boulder. Temperatures right now in Boulder in the 20s. You've got wind chills that are in the teens. Right now, a wind chill in Denver of 17. Greeley, it feels like 27. In the Springs, 20. Leadville feels like 2 degrees below zero this morning. Our current temps in the upper 20s. Denver, 27. Blackhawk, though, you're in the teens. Fort Collins, 25. And in Greeley, 27 degrees. Our highs this afternoon in the upper 30s. So it's not going to be a huge warm-up, even with a little bit of sunshine. Fort Collins, you're looking at 39. Denver, 38. Brighton, 40. Aurora, 38. And in Elizabeth this afternoon, a high of 34. Statewide, very similar. 30s and 40s. One of the warmer spots will be the western slope with Grand Junction under sunshine and close to 50 this afternoon. Tomorrow, we're closer to 50. 52 on Saturday. So far, your weekend looks good. As we look ahead and as we plan your weekend, Sunday's going to be the warmer of the 2 days. 60 degrees on Sunday. Early next week, it gets even better. So we've got great news for trick-or-treaters. Monday, 65. Tuesday, 70. And so far, so good. Halloween, Wednesday, Jason, sunshine and 70, which means by the time that sun sets, will most likely be close to 60.
Looking forward to a Monday morning commute because it won't be icy like it is right now. Look at the accident that's still being cleaned up now, just moving off of the highway. So they're temporarily holding all traffic on northbound 25 here before I-70 at 38th Avenue. And as you're watching this, you're going to see that all lanes should be reopening momentarily. And that means all the jamming that goes back to about Sports Authority Field or so should be alleviated here in just the next little bit. So again, now it looks like now all northbound lanes will be opening momentarily here at 38th. We can also see on this other camera right here at I-76 and 270 the accident. This is that from westbound 270 to eastbound I-76. Again, halting traffic to try to clean up this nasty crash. And you see all the activity here, and they're holding the traffic. That's the westbound side coming up from Highway 85. Another big accident along I-76 near 144th just now coming in quickly to the map, and you can see some of the other heavy traffic areas, including I-25. Boulder Turnpike. Somebody on Twitter just gave me a heads up of a big crash on that westbound side of 36 or eastbound. It's right in here, right near Church Ranch, and that's going to be another slick spot right by the railroad bridge.
Oof. It's a tough Friday.
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you, Jason. 6:18 right now, you can download Microsoft's new operating system, Windows 8, this morning. It became available at the stroke of midnight. The company says it's much different than what you may be used to. So far, Microsoft has spent about $1 billion advertising this upgrade. And Apple, it started to take those pre-orders for the new iPad mini today. The iPad mini will hit store shelves on November 2nd.
New this morning at 6:20, troubled American Airlines says it's hiring. In the next 5 years, the airline plans to add 2,500 jobs. A letter was just sent to employees this week saying new pilots will be hired for new international and domestic routes. Some of these new jobs will replace retiring pilots. Well, Jeep may soon be leaving the U.S. Chrysler is considering moving all production of the Jeep SUVs to China. This has people in Ohio very concerned. The main Jeep plant is in Toledo, Ohio. Some of the other Jeep plants are in Michigan and Illinois. Not good.
No, not at all. Toyota releasing some new numbers today. So far this year, it's sold 7.4 million vehicles. And that's up 28% from the same period last year. But Toyota fears things could change because sales have been taking a plunge, moving down on them in China. There's then that whole territorial dispute we've talked about here on the morning show between China and Japan. Remember those islands off the Eastern Sea there? It sparked all kinds of protests in China. A lot of people there in China have been boycotting Japanese products, so they may see a little hit in their sales. But right now, they're up. Well, after a positive Thursday on Wall Street, pre-markets down some this morning as investors prepare for a key economic indicator today. We're going to see third quarter GDP figures come out in a matter of minutes, in fact, expecting to show the economy grew, but slightly. More earnings today from companies like Weyerhaeuser, Goodyear, Comcast, and Merck both reported early this morning, and they both either met or exceeded the expectations. So good news there. Asian stock markets, they fell. And what they were falling for, as you can see here, let's see, we have the Shanghai down almost 2%, the Hang Seng down 1.2%, the Nikkei all down. They were responding to a report here in our country when we got those housing numbers yesterday. The data shows the number of Americans who signed contracts to buy homes rose only slightly in September from the month of August. And that suggests that sales may level off in the coming months after pretty solid gains in the past year. The figures were a letdown for investors. They were all excited because earlier in the week, they saw another U.S. Homes report, and it showed that new home sales rose last month to the highest annual pace in the past 2.5 years.
Elizabeth Taylor had a big year last year. Forbes just releasing its list of highest earning dead celebrities, and Taylor tops that list, earning an estimated $210 million. Most of that money came from auctions of her jewelry and her White Diamonds perfume line. Now, the other stars on this list: Michael Jackson, he made $145 million this past year. Elvis Presley, $55 million. And Peanuts cartoonist Charles Schultz and Bob Marley ran out the top 5.
Wow, a lot of dough. 6:21, and right now, firefighters in Chicago putting out some hot spots of a massive fire. You can see this was at a church, and the concern right now is that this has gotten so large the roof may collapse. They've been battling an extra alarm fire there at that church. You can see all the flames. No one injured so far, so that's good news. We're back in 2 minutes.